For the first time on television, Kenya's brightest storytellers fight it out to decide who is a country's top young investigative journalist.
Let the others know that they have no chance in this.
This is Tangaza College.
And you're watching
Topstory.
That's the one.
There'll be sweat.
I am really sweaty.
There'll be tears. And certainly, there'll be drama.
We missed supper for tonight.
As they strive for the top prize, two leading African storytellers will be there to guide them. Each week, two universities will be paired and will battle it out for the top story. With their 48 hours deadline coming to an end, the young journalists will come face to face with experience, wisdom, and accomplishment.
I'm Alex Chamwada. I've been a journalist for at least 15 years. And one thing I've learned throughout my career is to combine 3 E's: education, exposure, and experience. I would attribute my achievements to hard work and just being keen to know what's happening around. You must be current, you must be relevant. In journalism, you are as good as your current story.
My name is Rose Lucalo. As a journalist, what I've learned is that you have to question everything and everybody. You do not believe anybody, even the most reliable person, until you've verified, corroborated, and ascertained what they're telling you.
My name is Dennis Okari. I'm a Kenyan journalist. I've worked for close to 13 years. In my short experience, I've had challenges here and there, but what keeps me going is the passion to keep doing more and more stories.
And for the team that will survive the judgment, a sponsored study tour abroad and the latest media equipment are waiting at the finishing line. Previously on Top Story.
You're about to launch into an investigation. We have no idea what this investigation is all about.
This is no longer a classroom project. This is a taste of real life, as it were.
Interruption kidogo. There was another poaching attack at Lake Nakuru National Park. The Nakuru police are searching for suspects. And I say, the details of the investigations are strictly confidential.
This week on Top Story, Kenya Institute of Mass Communication and United States International University continue their investigation. It's day 2 of the challenge in Nakuru town. After meeting their mentors, it's time to find the final piece of the puzzle.
Yesterday was the first day of the challenge, and it was the most difficult day for us since we had to analyze all the documents we were given, understand it, and solve the puzzle. Then we see where to start our story. The first person we went to see was Carol at KWS. We got some information and some leads which led us to a lady called
Mother Chebe.
Mother. Then we interviewed her and got a lead to Brenda. Then after Brenda, we were directed to see a guy by the name Samuel, who is a doctor in this hospital here. And after we have seen him, we will see where the next move is.
I don't know if they called each other.
You say Elfas is your patient.
Yes,
you must have a record somewhere where you wrote the official name, because there's no way you are going to treat someone with one name.
And is your client who may become
yeah.
Given the many patients we deal with, it is not possible to know all the names of all patients.
You gave Brenda's number to Elfas.
On which date?
I can't recall the dates.
Okay, after giving Elfas the number for Brenda, did Elfas communicate to you back that I have managed to talk with Brenda? Did he call you back to acknowledge maybe talking with Brenda? Okay.
I don't know if they called each other.
But as you have confirmed to us that Brenda is your regular client, and one of the things that you do in your profession is to follow up to your clients. Did you mind to know whether Brenda has changed her mood?
What I've told you, all what our patients do is part of the medical records, and we don't disclose medical records to any other person. Ella, I'll be back. Excuse.
The doctor leaves the office to answer a phone call, but his diary is wide open. KIMC students take a peek.
Apana, no. That's not allowed.
There is something removed here.
Will it be ethical for them to take this information without the doctor's consent? It's a tough decision to make, and the ethical dilemma continues outside.
Sit here, wait for those people to get out. We make a contact again if you can go back and get that picture.
No, I think that's impossible because remember we are many. Then we have exhausted our
one
time.
person to go.
I highly doubt he will accept.
Like me, I have something to do and
he will not accept.
I don't.
We had our time. He will not accept.
And there's a reason that we've even overstayed our visit.
Whatever we have seen inside.
Let's just assume. We'll give it a try. Let's give it a try.
Okay, remember there's another group inside. Okay. Remember there's another group inside.
We've already found two contacts. Why don't you just move ahead with our plan?
Yeah, let's use what we have.
As KIMC reach a unanimous decision, it seems they are not the only ones having a headache at the doctors.
Our day has been very frustrating. One very hectic interview with that doctor, Mr. Doctor. Once I meet you from this, we shall have a talk. But it's been interesting, very challenging. We had an interesting brainstorming session with the team. So yeah, it's been awesome. I'm also not complaining. We're just rolling with the punches. Yeah.
The thing was, we tried to get the doctor to talk. He said no information is being given out concerning my patients. So now we had to look for a way to contact the source, and we didn't even know the second name of the alleged lead we were given. So we only had one option, to come to the police station and look for the officer by his first name. They are also not cooperating, so...
Doctor, why, doctor, why? I saw this doctor, yani, We tried everything that you've learned about investigative journalism. Nothing was forthcoming.
This one, I don't feel there is any compelling reason for me to disclose any records of my patients.
So we decided, okay, let's go and sit somewhere, get fresh air.
And think.
Put our heads together, like...
Brainstorm.
Together. Brainstormed, we thought maybe this officer could be maybe close to where we are. So that's why we came up here. We ended up at Bondeni police station, and we are waiting for him to come so that we get our story. But so far so good. We are not giving up.
Yeah.
And we are determined to get a good story printed, yeah.
And each step you learn something new, something like the challenges that we've gone through. We've known how guys now maneuver their way through all the frustration, because the time we got so frustrated at the hospital and thinking, daktari
anatudunga tu na atudungi information.
Yani amekatana information nani yetu. So I think those are the things we've learned.
Sometimes you really have to move with your instincts and have a nose for news, and try and put this jigsaw puzzle together to come up with a good story. Sometimes you might not have that particular lead that you need, but you have to go out of your way and dig out stuff. Yeah.
Publish and be done. We are taking that into, consideration.
So yeah, we're not giving up, and we have new energy. Come on.
Energy, publish and be done.
1, 2, 3, 4.
As USIU inject themselves with new energy, KIMC have made good progress and are closing in on the 7th and final key source in the challenge.
After coming from the Nakuru hospice, we strategized on our next move, and through our leads, it led us to the courts. So from the courts, we went there. When we talked to our leads, he did not give us much information. So we came out from that place
and we used the leads that we got from the hospital, which helped us to find one source who happened to be a banker. We also interviewed him, and he gave us information which has led us to the Bondeni police station where we are right now.
Mine is asking you a question. You are saying you were sent to Elfas Maret.
No, we actually not sent.
We have not.
You have been referred, or what? What
We
is
just followed our instincts to your place, and that is how.
instinct to me? Okay, what do you want from me?
If I may ask you, where were you in particular between the time of 6 p.m. to maybe 8 p.m.?
I can't recollect well, but you can. Maybe I was around.
And did you happen to hear, or maybe just get information that something happened at Nakuru National Park? What if you produce some evidence to show that you were there with such a date?
You can produce, but I have never been to that hospital.
Okay, the big question here is, we have your number, yeah, right? We call you. Then, actually there are many Elfas, but how did we reach only you as the one Elfas? Yeah?
This one is a fitting document.
It's not a document. We want to
Somebody want to fix me?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Although the police officer denies any involvement in the crime, KIMC students have proof that this is their man. They just need to support their evidence.
Huyu ni Kimodo tena. Tulikuwa na wewe hapo opposite America Hotel. And ukatupa information ya Elifas. And we want you to confirm to us. We want to come back to you so that you can confirm to us some of the pictures that we have and the motor vehicle, the minivan, whether they are the one and the person is the one. So where can we meet you? He cannot divulge any other information, and he has nothing else to confirm to us. What Kenya tutazia ni Elifas. Elifas tunajua kila kitu.
Asi tunataka tu confirm hiyo ndio Elifas na hiyo ndio Gerald. We don't even need any information.
The Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, they were a bit tough. They stand a chance of doing well in the investigations.
After the 48 hours of the investigation, Kenya Institute of Mass Communication has interviewed 7 key sources. United States International University has spoken to 4 key sources. Will this be enough to resolve the crime and impress the judges? We'll find out next. Coming up on Top Story.
Did you ever ask him whether he was shot?
Yeah, we did, but he declined. However, we noticed how he was walking because he was walking with a bit of stiffness.
That's how he was walking.
Earlier on Top Story.
So far, so good. We are not giving up.
Yeah.
And we are determined to get a good story printed, yeah.
The 48 hours of the investigation are over, and it is now time for the 2 universities to face judgment.
Tell us who you are and where you're from.
I'm Denver Cheng, USIU student, 4th year USIU student.
Okay. Your story. What is the angle you've taken? What's different about it? What makes it a top story?
We decided to approach the story in the aspect of how the poachers are actually accessing the park. And why we felt this was different is we felt that instead of focusing on the actual incident, it'd be nice to see how KWS is trying to prevent further incidents from happening in the future.
So your story, in a nutshell, is what? I'm still not quite.
Our angle is we're trying to establish how the poachers are trying to, get access to the highly secured park.
Do you have the story or you're trying to establish?
No, we have the story.
What's the story?
The story is we felt that there was some sort
You felt or you have a story?
Oh, sorry. The story is there's some sort of collaboration between the security forces and the poachers.
Any challenges you faced?
We had some challenges on interviewing the leads we had.
And you've been working on this story for how long?
3 days.
Right.
I can see 5 of you, 3 gentlemen, 2 lovely ladies. So who was doing what at what point?
We took the approach of each team member has a valid idea. So basically, when it came to decision making, we all basically discussed the idea.
Okay. Well, we've received your story. We're going to have a look at it, and then I know you'll be back and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
I find it bizarre when you have a very strong story. It's a current story, and then you decide you're not doing that, and you're talking about generalities.
Airy-fairy, general.
What do you guys think?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Identify yourself and tell us your story.
This is the KIMC team. My name is Priska Aroko. Our story is all about greed, how greed is contributing to poaching in the Kenyan society right now.
How did you learn about the story?
From a press release.
A press release?
Yeah.
What did it say?
It said there was an attempt of poaching incident that happened at Lake Nakuru National Park. So we tried to follow up on what exactly happened during the specific day that the incident happened.
This is an investigative piece. So what did you pick? The most important piece you picked from the press release?
The most important thing that we picked from that was Caro Mwebia, who actually viewed what happened, and she was the one who was supposed to lead us through all this investigation.
Editorial team?
Who was your toughest source?
Eliphas, the police.
Who's Eliphas? The policeman?
Yeah.
What did they tell you?
He actually declined to disclose any information.
Was this on phone or you met him in person?
We met him in person.
It's interesting because in the brief he was shot, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever, I'm just wondering, did you ever ask him whether he was shot?
Yeah, we did, but he declined. However, we noticed how he was walking because he was walking with a bit of stiffness.
How was he walking?
Like this.
No, just come forward, just do it. That's how he was walking?
Yeah.
And with that you concluded perhaps he was shot?
No, we didn't conclude about that. We actually took a photo of him and went back to the person who led us to Kim. And when we reached, because we went back and asked for another interview with him, we met him and we showed him the photo and the van that Eliphas had. And I quote what he said, I gave you his number, I gave you his name, you called him and went and saw him, then this is the Eliphas that you're looking for. So that actually confirmed to us that this is the guy who we were looking for.
Very well. We'll read through your story. Take some tea break.
Despite the tough session, the top prize is still up for grabs for the 2 teams.
A top story is a story, number one, that engages people.
It should be newsworthy, it should be new, and it should be, something that exposes, or a story that exposes something.
Take advantage of the different elements that go into a story. What you've learned in class, take that into practice.
The long wait is over. It's time to find out if the story lives or dies.
Well, 2 groups are back. I will start with USIU. In your pitch, there's something in the newsroom called editorial judgment. And this is something that you need I mean, every journalist should have. It's not just the work of an editor. When an editor sends you out to do a story, you need that editorial judgment out of what you've learned to know this is what a story is, this is not. Then when you come back, you brief the editor and you write your script, and you're not alone. You're competing with so many other people, in this case, so many other groups that were given the same brief and decided to take different angles. In your case, it's interesting because you decided to ignore the brief and decided to, go general on the whole issue. The waging war persists. First, that title is The Waging War Persists. When you look at that in a newspaper headline, for example, what comes to your mind? The waging war persists.
I'd want to find out more about the story. What is
But
the
does
war
it
in
make you
question?
wonder whether it's talking about ISIS, is it talking about Al-Shabaab, is it talking about, you need to put a peg on your title that relates to your story. Somehow it has to, you understand? So that you don't make the person who's looking at your story get lost from just the title, because that is what sells you. That is what basically is your first impression. The second thing I need to point out is, you try to be very creative in your start. Tourists smiling, cameras flashing, as many enjoy the game at the park, but when darkness creeps in, the game changes. Gunfire illuminates the serene beauty of Lake Nakuru National Park. It's good to be poetic when you're doing your story. In this case, I wouldn't say it was right or wrong. I'll just say be very careful not to go overboard. Your story was all over the place. Where you get to the crust of the whole story is in paragraph 3, almost the last sentence, which should have really gone up. So again, always start with, shock me, give me the details. The thing that I need to commend you is good attributes to facts. Every time you mention a fact, you always attribute it to someone, so that it's not your opinion or it's not your statement. How many rhinos have been killed? You say it's so-and-so who said it.
You're saying the officer shrugged off our allegations as rubbish. What does our allegations mean? Our.
I understand.
Are you the reporter,
yeah.
or you are part of the story?
We are the reporter. I understand what you're saying.
Yes, so they can't be your allegations.
Okay.
Kenya Institute of Mass Communication, your turn. One of the things that concerned us quite deeply was that some of the language when you use it is very powerful. Towards the end, when you spoke to the policeman, you were talking about Eliphas. A police constable gave us a hearing at Bondeni police station. Our efforts to get answers hit a dead end, and he defensively declined to divulge any information. He didn't decline, he denied involvement. They're two completely different things. So in a way, we learned this actually just from reading some of your colleagues' reports, which were quite consistent on that, and the briefing document as well. So in the use of language, you can completely destroy your story. You have to carry the reader with you from the beginning to the end of the story as you take them through what you did, where you went, and why you made the decision to go to the next place. Sometimes why you made the decision was not evident, and we just ended up in the next place.
Did you have to reveal the contacts of Felix and other sources? Do readers or viewers have to know their contacts?
Actually, that was a confusion because we didn't know if we should put it there or attach it to because we sent both.
Imagine if you are a source, you are in the house with your spouse or your girlfriend or boyfriend and children, or if you are married. Would that be good for you if everyone is now calling you? Now everyone knows your number, they've seen it on television. It's unethical. You didn't have to reveal their contacts.
You said getting to Eliphas was quite a challenge, but with persistence, he granted us an interview. That is thinking in Swahili. Do you know how you'll say this in Swahili? Nilijaribu kumtafuta aongee. Finally, akakubali kuongea. You're thinking in Swahili, and some of the things we read here I can tell you're thinking in Swahili, but then you're translating directly to English. I don't have to know that it was really a challenge to get Eliphas, because that does not add value to the story when you say you persisted and finally you conquered and got the interview. That's not really necessary. So avoid a lot of drama, a lot of, playing around with words, eating space and all that, and just go straight to the point.
Despite the tough session, the top prize is still up for grabs for the two teams. Next week on Top Story.
Let the others know that they have no chance in this.
Daystar University and Masinde Muliro University launch their investigation.
Now can you force me, surely? You have ambushed me. You cannot tell me where I am and you want to come exactly. You are not in my diary. I'm just doing you a favor.